Best short-term business loans part 2. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. So I want to jump right into things. Some of the things that I may have missed on the first one, let's go over it. And let's talk a little bit about documentation. When you're looking for the best short-term business loans, what comes with it in terms of documents, you can expect it to be lower doc, about 3 months, sometimes 3 to 4, 4 to 6. It could be 12 months if it's more of like an agricultural, seasonal fluctuation in revenue, certain seasons, and it could be a different industry as well. But with the best short-term business loans, you would expect to be lower documentation. So about 3 months of bank statements, a copy of your driver's license, and a voided check. Now, how and when that's asked for is a different part. So with certain services, we may ask for it up front, 3 months of bank statements, a copy of your driver's license, and a voided check. And in other instances, we might do like a form of a pre-approval where we'll just request from you, and it depends lender to lender, about 6 months of bank statements. 3 months can be fine if that's all you had, but 6 months is what we would ideally like. An application on top of that, and that goes with the 3 months as well, voided check, copy of your driver's license. And credit card statements, if applicable. Recent credit card statements, about 3 to 6 months or so, if applicable again. And that's on a different part if you're doing some form of credit card processing in those statements. But that's it. 6 months, a digital application usually with these lenders now, with fintech companies. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And another part, if you're looking for amounts that are like 150 and above, even at 250 and above, we'll need a most recent tax return. We won't maybe ask for too many financials, maybe a year-to-date profit and loss, maybe just last year's, and then a balance sheet. But it kind of varies, but you're still seeing an estimate of lower documentation when you're looking to get a best short-term business loan. And if you haven't seen the first video, by the way, make sure you guys watch that down below. Or when you're watching this later on YouTube, there will be likely a replay, so I'll put that on there. Make sure to watch it down below. Part 1, I go into it very deep. And I get real with you on best short-term business loans and how that ultimately ends up working in your favor and how it doesn't. But going back to that stage, after maybe a pre-approval, we go through the underwriting and we say, yeah, we can do an approval. We maybe say, hey, I would need a voided check, copy of your driver's license, but sometimes it can be asked for up front. It just depends on how and when. And you have to be careful about who you go to in this industry. It's always changing. Lenders are always changing their guidelines. You may see one lender who's asking for a lot of upfront information, financials, where another lender is not, another organization isn't, another organization is. So just be very careful about who you're going to when you're applying for business funding, and don't just shop around place after place after place. I get there's a place for that, but ultimately I'll show you what's best. Been doing this for a long time, and whether we take this into an indirect lender or a direct lender, I'll let you know why indirectly it's better and how I already have those partnerships with those direct lenders, and how we can do more of an in-house look at getting you a better approval. We may entertain 1 or 2 lenders or 3 at most and say, hey, this one's best, so we're going to work with this one. And we have direct contact with them. Boom, this one works, and then maybe there's a second phase where another person comes in and goes, hey, there's better here, or it's the same one. But we don't affect your credit in that regard. We protect your safety and your security and everything thereafter. So that's what I kind of more or less wanted to speak about on the second part of best short-term business loans. Not a video on showing you on screen. I'll have more content on that in the description to make sure you check out. And yeah, if you want to be in the best of hands, make sure you work with an expert. And going around, shopping around too much can actually damage your credit. You don't know how they communicate. Like, I might make a separate video on this, but not every lender is created equally. They may not even have contact with the underwriter. Like, bank managers can't really have contact with those underwriters or however it's being handled. And so you don't know the communication. Certain lenders are more niche and they have a specific industry and they're more old school. Their underwriting guidelines are different. their terms and rates. Terms can be lower, rates can be a lot higher. But that's just a little bit of it. There's a lot more that goes into this. And just to make sure, I'm looking at my email. Sensitive emails coming in, I just have to be on top of it. And just so you're not falling behind and working with somebody like myself again who can help you. And to learn more about my story too, I'll have it in the first video I'll link you to, just so you can have more of that. So what I want to do now, I'm going to leave it open for about another 30 seconds. I know if you're just joining me, this is spontaneous. I didn't have this scheduled. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments, and I will get back to you. What is the best SBA loan for a truck driving company? Good question. Anything in transportation, let me start off with, it is a higher risk. A lot of lenders have been pulling back from, even those who are more niche specific. They are tending to lend more frequently right now. We thought they would have a little bit of a hesitancy. But trucking, I mean, there's so much happening there with supply chain issues. You have grocery receipts dropping, a lot, fuel costs, products and services costs. There's so much more. But the best SBA loan for a truck driving company in general, I would say the SBA 7A loan. Now, it depends on what you want to use those funds for, where it may turn out to be a 504, but a SBA 7A loan, it's more for like working capital, growth and expansion. You have improvements you want to make. Maybe you're trying to get a new office building, trying to get a land for your, your trucking business, a shop, trying to take care of that. But the SBA 7A, I'm doing a lot of those right now. I actually have quite a few trucking business owners. If that's something you want to do, I highly recommend getting in touch, because I work with the best lender and the lenders for the trucking industry, as well as everywhere else. Like, I've funded business owners of all backgrounds and industries, but I know what those lenders are asking for. And so that's what I recommend you do. See, that's what most people have questions on, like which is the best SBA 7A company. And I'll start off by saying this, that if you went through the SBA.gov site, that's not the way you do it. Because of the credit committees, the credit facility, the underwriting, it may be not, there's communication error, especially with banks who do loans. Those are communication errors a lot of the time. You may get old people who don't know what's happening today in the market, the way they meet. So I can't say one specific SBA 7A loan lender. I know there's quite a few. And if that's something, I'd rather verbalize it on the back end. And I'll be very transparent with you. I'm not hiding anything, just so you know. I just don't like voicing it, because too many people will just go out there and just go try to do it themselves. That's not what you want to do. And I'm not saying you will, but that's why I don't just start mentioning like all the like companies, because it's not appropriate for you to do that. And a lot of the times people do get rejected and you don't get what you're looking for. And when you have a relationship with someone like myself who knows those lenders personally and in business and has the team behind it to drive it, you want that benefit. Trust me. But there are companies out there. You have, like the Grasshoppers of the world, the Fountainheads. You can go through other banking institutions. There's a lot more on my mind. But, there's just a few of them there that I get a lot of things done. And you want to go through a broker, believe me, because you want somebody who's going to handle your documentation. And they wouldn't want it any other way either. They'd be like, okay, well, it's better to do it that way. And that's what I've seen. So if you want somebody like myself, I do all the analytical work. And so I handle the documents. I get to understand debt service coverage ratio. I know that very well. I understand what kind of interest do you have now? What kind of debt do you have? And if, for example, you had $80,000 in totaling debt, then how much can you afford in a monthly repayment? You can't exceed no more than 6,667 over the course of a year. How does that look like over 2 years? 12,000 plus. But and then I break it down into more numbers, and then I pre-underwrite a file before it goes over to the lender. So it's most important that you have that intermediary step, and so you're not having to just apply information and being unsure about it. You have to consult with someone. And what people end up doing, they end up going to too many third parties. And like I'm working out a lot of deals right now where it's unfortunate people are doing this. They don't like listen to me, or they just try to do their own thing. Not everybody. I mean, sometimes it's not voice, but it's there. It's like a concern. Just don't do that. It's not best to always go direct. There's a better indirect situation. So right now, transportation, there's an indirect way to go. And I already have that direct lender. So it's like an indirect in-house look. Think about it as like a bridge. So there's better communication. There's a better team behind it. There's a better force. There's a maximum approval amount. I have a trucking business owner right now who's been approved for 2.6 million, excuse me. And there's another one at about 1.7 million. Another one at about 750,000. I have those just below 350,000 with the express loan. So it just depends on what you have. I have their term sheets. I have everything. So I know what's happening at each point. You want to have somebody who can communicate it with you, who's going to say, hey, here's your offer. This is what's the contingency on it. This is what we could do. This is what it could look like if we restructured this. Here is what, if any collateral is asked for, this is what it will be. And the lender has asked me to speak with you because they won't want to have it any other way. And here's what I need you to email me back. Stress-free. Simple. It's like, why didn't I think about this earlier? Instead of just going to apply to those companies, because you don't know how they're distributing your information around everywhere. Hopefully that helped. How do you get this home built? Welcome in, Arkbard. How are you doing? Good question. And that's on the topic of what I've been doing today. Like I said, I work with a lot of business owners, but no greater than today was the luxury custom home builders in the construction space. Renovations, a lot of construction today that I had to be focused on. And it's different because if you're looking for a specific construction loan, they're out there, but they're not as attractive right now to individuals because of possible down payments and the amount of down payment. Sorry, I got my keyboard here. But there are other ways of using a business term loan, conventional loans, lines of credit is what we tend to think of. But if you're trying to build a custom home, you need the supplies. Maybe you have a shop. Maybe you have machinery. You have things that you need more employees. You have a project. It can go on and on. I can go on forever. But yeah, I can definitely help you with this. This is something I'm very, very, very knowledgeable in. And what I tell business owners, bio, link click, first button, fill out the questionnaire, and then I will be able to evaluate, analyze it, and give you a proper response back via email. I'm going to have to adjust it a little bit, but it's all there. And if you could do this for me, please, in the additional notes section, add what you'd like. Please don't leave it blank. And tell me, like, I'm going to put a section to that. I didn't want to put it because of the resistance people will have to fill it out, but I didn't leave it as a required. I want to leave it as a required field, maybe not. But let me know. Do you have existing debt? You could probably tell me that right now. What do you have? Any existing loans, equipment loans? Do you have personal/startup loans, MCA loans, existing lines of credit? Because that helps me understand. Well, like if you have like 10 equipment loans out there, you're totaling about 200,000. I mean, that may be far reached, but at 200,000, and you're expecting to have a monthly business term loan beyond 2 years, when you can only get 1 to 2 years, that's what, like 1 to 2 years, sometimes 36 months. It's hard to get 36 months. If you're going to look for that, you should go to an SBA loan, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get you more than a revenue-based loan. So you have a personal loan. For how long have you had that in? I don't want to get into those. Those are more like back-ended questions, and I'm sure you're probably feeling the same way. You don't have to say anything. But yeah, I would put that in the additional notes. So when you fill out my questionnaire form, like I'm going to go over it right now with you guys. Please do. Appreciate you, Arkbard. And here, let me look at my questionnaire. With me, guys, you guys have more of a personalized approach. I really do like listen to what you have, and I actually have a whole list of it, like in my this one right here. So today I made notes of. This is just one of my construction building clients. Can you imagine what the other papers look like? So I have a lot of details right there for those specific clients. Now over here, sorry, I'm using my charger, so it's gonna be at 10% soon. So I'm looking at my questionnaire form. You guys go there, startup or non-startup, click one of those two. I built this, by the way. And so right there, you'll see the questionnaire form. It may look a little lengthy, but it's in your best interest. Right now, I just had another business owner who submitted it not too long ago, who I will be looking at it. Diana, if you're in here watching, I will get the form back out to you. Or if you're watching later, it's come in. I see it right now. I'm looking at it. And I know what's going to happen there. But over here on my questionnaire form, you'll want to fill that out from your name all the way down to the additional notes. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, I got to move that. So I was making adjustments the other day, and I got to move a section to the bottom. It's nothing big. It's just I got to move this above the other ones. But if you fill that questionnaire form out, I will be able to do it all for you. And my email, it is... Here, oh, what's up with this? My first name, Michael, at viralfundingsolutions.com. Like something going viral. Michael, Michael, at viralfundingsolutions with an S at the end, .com. I'll come back to you guys in just a second. There it is. Let me go here. Let me make sure this works. Oh, it keeps giving me this bad request. I got to clear my cookies. Not like actual cookies. Although they do sound good. Let me just come back to the questions here. I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you skipping even for answer? Can you please clarify? Here, let me come back to this. I gotta go to my site so I can make this change. But feel free to ask me a question. I'll turn around from time to time here. And we pretty much covered everything we needed to in this video. And if you're just joining me, feel free to ask questions. So what happens is my website, I have great hosting, but you can't control sometimes that the site ends up like not breaking per se, but it ends up going down a little bit. And then the plugins were just updated. So now I'm going to go back to this page. And I have also a digital marketing background, guys. Digital marketing agency. There it is again, the bad request. So the server needs to be dished out. And I have an affiliate marketing, couple of businesses underneath that. But this is the primary one right now that I focus on. So over here, and I have my hosting team that does this for me. I used to do it all myself. Let me come back to the comments. Are we still able to... Hey, welcome back. Are we still able to apply for an EIDL even after the deadline? Good question. And this goes for everybody in here watching. Not right now. So no open applications. There's a few things happening with EIDL though, with interest. But I'll get back to you guys on that. There's some adjustments I got to go speak to an officer about. But not right now. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund is kind of going on, but everything else, PPP loans, if you have employees between 1 to 500, you could qualify essentially, you know, they're W-2 employees, of course, for the employee retention credit, up to $26K per employee. It's not a loan. It's a refundable payroll tax credit. So you're going to have to amend your 941 forms per quarter. I can help you with that. And I have payroll management experts who do this as well. So 1 second here. Oh, I love it. Thank you for that question. I'm going to answer Cherry first here, and then I'll come back to you, Mr. Providing or Miss Providing Value, which is what we're all about, right? What if you are the only employee? Good question. So that necessarily wouldn't work. You have to have W-2 employees. And, you know, there's an ownership to it. If you own over 51% of it, you won't qualify. And people ask me for W-9s. How about this way I'm set up with 10 numbers, independent contractors, and W-2 wages, ultimately, is what we want to look at. And over 30 hours, you know, being considered full-time. Let's see, hopefully this works. But let me come back to this part. Hopefully that answers your question. And I do these every day, guys. If you guys need it from the best, somebody who's going to communicate with you, handle the documents if need be. Usually I do. I got you. Safe and secure, by the way. This is a question that I love. This is probably the best question, one of the best questions I've heard all day. Is there any company that will do a business loan with only 2 months of revenue and so-so credit? You could probably end the video on this. So, in terms of, are there companies? Yeah, there's companies, but there's 3 buckets. Credit, cash flow, collateral. Which one of the 3, or all 3, or 2 of the 3 do you have, right? Those are the 3 we look at. Do you have enough time in business? Well, let's see, we only have 2 months of revenue. But when were you incorporated? When did you start your business? That's another part. Maybe you just have 2 months of business. Once you started, you just went from there. And so a private lender with 2 months of business, they don't want to lend based off of revenue. They will likely decline you. And the reason being is because it's not enough of a trend. Like maybe it's the time in business with that. There's not enough of a pattern of consistency. That's ultimately what they'll look at is like, okay, you made a lot of money this month. You made a lot of money that next month. I have a lot of people who are doing this right now as we speak. They'll come back to me because they trust me. I'm not BSing people, telling them to go apply anywhere and everywhere. If you do that, you're going to hurt yourself. The guy today on the call, when he said that, I thought, oh. And I went ahead and set the record straight on what he did wrong. And, you know, we feel bad for what we do, but we want to do something. And we're not patient enough. And we're just trying to find what works and shopping around too much. I wouldn't even recommend doing that. If you find somebody like me, like you have, and you want the best, and get treated with respect, with punctuality, that'll happen. It'll be there. I promise. And so that won't work. But here, let me come back up here and I'll answer that second part you have. With only 2 months, yeah, revenue-based private lender, I mean, you're probably better off with an angel investor at that point. And maybe an SBA Community Advantage, if not a microloan, because you're still in the beginning stages of building your revenue. And if you can show them a plan that, hey, I needed an additional $30,000 that I can't get anywhere else, they'll be able to work with you a little bit more. And so without the cash flow right there, you have to have at least 3 months. 3 months will help you. At that 3-month stage, I'm not even asking you how much you're doing in revenue, because that's another question I can ask you. What are your funds for? So let's for example, you're doing about $10,000 per month, and it's consistent. You're like, these 2 months, it's only 2 months, but it's consistent. You know, like next month I'm going to hit to 10K again. I'm going to hit another 20K this time. Okay, that looks good. So with 3 months, you're in that bucket of getting between 20 to 25%. Now, do you have a personal checking account? Do you have a business checking account? If you have so-so credit, that may be you saying in another way, I have less than 660, less than 650 credit, maybe. But because we're in that fair, not fair, well, yeah, more so fair. But at that point, if it's just based off revenue, credit isn't so much of the issue. And at 3 months of revenue and at least 3 months of time in business, like they won't even look at your credit. Certain lenders won't. And they'll just say, hey, we can just base this off your bank statements and just go from there, even if it's on a personal. But after certain portions, you need a business checking account. Don't think that you can get away with using a personal checking account all the time. think it's charging. I didn't hear that little charging sound. You have enough revenue. Problem is the deposits from 3 and 4 months ago were business savings, and now, oh yeah, that'll be the problem. Yeah, that's what they'll look at. Those depositing, the depositing frequency is one thing. The amount of deposits is another. How many deposits you have. A lot of lenders like to see about 3 deposits per month, if not 5 deposits. Like in the construction industry, it's probably like one of the ones that, even if you had like 2 sometimes and you had stronger revenue, we can work with. But if it's all in your savings and not in the biz, that'll be the problem. And it's how you transfer money. I have a lot of real estate investors right now who are like flipping and fixing, and that's not the market to be in. And a lot of the ways that they're transferring their money, like I see it every day. I have those investors who come to me all the time, and they're like, I don't want to like look like I just transfer something from one account to another one, because that won't be counted as stated revenue. So make sure you have that one account that you're depositing into directly. You can have multiple business checking accounts. We'll need to verify those other ones if it makes sense. Sometimes we're like, we can't even track this. This isn't even verifiable. So we don't bother with it. Other times we go, yeah, it's a transferred amount. So we can look at that and we can see if it's verifiable. We can see, okay, where's that really coming from? And if it makes sense, we go, okay, we just had to pull those accounts and make sure everything looks clean. And then we can look at lending you, if anything. So we can be flexible. We just have to see it. And it has to make sense. Gotcha. On a CKG account. Understood. And to business savings. Yeah, whether it's a CKG account, the thing is, every bank, digital, non-digital, is built different. And regardless of how that is done, whatever interface you have, whatever access you have, however you're depositing it into those different accounts, or you have a payroll account, an expense account, an equipment account, a profit account. You guys should have a profit account, by the way. And I know if we're old school, we don't do all that, but you should have a business checking account for profits and not pull out any profits from what you're making. So you're forcing yourself to not put that money back into your business, because if you put that money back into your business, it's going to only hurt, and you're putting it back into your business way too soon. So think about what you're doing. But yes, I do. I speak Spanish fluently. I can read it, write it, speak it. Sometimes I lose it because I'm not always speaking it. Grew up in Orange County, California, so you can only imagine. I live in Washington now, but I do speak fluently. My dad, my mom, my younger brother, more or less. He does his little like mispronunciations with his now wife. It's kind of funny, and just to kind of see those things. Any new PPP loan similar to the one during the pandemic? Good question. And this kind of comes back to what I said earlier. Not right now. I know you always hear about like the new PPP. Oh, there's a first draw. Did you have a second draw? Is there going to be a third draw, fourth draw? No, not right now. There's still a lot of fraudulent activity that needs to be cleaned up, and we're not sure if that'll be coming up in the next year. There's not been any notion of that, at least from my insiders. So there's really nothing we're working there on. But the whole forgiveness part, that's a whole nother step of that equation. What I consider the new PPP loan, that's the employee retention credit. And this isn't a PPP loan per se program. You can't double dip. The wages or what you use for the PPP loan to get, it's not going to be somewhat similar to what you get with the employee retention credit. But it is a payroll tax credit nonetheless. So it is payroll related in that regard. So that's the one I recommend you guys like do right now. And I'll work with you on it. And I have the best team, just so you guys know. So it's not like you're just shooting in the dark, trying to figure out this guy who you may have just met today, and you're like, oh, no. My story, if you guys go to the bio, second button, learn more about me. Take the time. And you're going to see, okay, this person is real. And I almost cried in that video because it's hard for me to be on video, one, but then expressing those things, it's quite difficult, but I know it helps. And it's just like, I didn't want to do that, but at the same time, I know it helps. You can only imagine an introvert having to put themselves in a position like that. providing value, is asking. Man, and I love it. Each and every one of you, I do. Keep asking these smart questions, open-ended. And he's not jumping, or she's not jumping. You're not jumping into conclusions, are you? Like, you're asking. You're here to learn. You're not here like other trolls who come in and go, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God. And then I challenge them, and then I'm like, what do you mean? Can you please clarify? Where do they go? Or they say something, but it's just like, you're running your mouth on something you don't have any knowledge on. You've had a bad experience. You heard it from someone. Let me clear this up for you and everybody. Startup business loans for an 800 plus personal credit. That's awesome too. And that's great to have. You're in the excellent score. But only 2 months in business with $15K and $30,000 in revenue? Yes. So 0 time in business. What? I don't need time in business? Yes, you don't need 2 months in business. You don't need 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. What you do need, though, are at least 5 trade lines. Oh, so there's the catch. I got to have at least 5 trade. That's not a catch. That's life. What have you done to build your personal credit? How should we look at your personal credit with nothing and say, yeah, you'll be able to afford the payment? So if you have accounts, good. Leave them open. How much have you been using on those accounts? Damn, you have them for $100,000. You've been making the payments over a year to 2 years. You're in the even better. Okay. Yeah, we can feel more comfortable lending them like half of that or even $100K. They're low on that. They're almost done making payments on that. Whatever it is. But with 5 trade lines, at least a 680 and above FICO, Experian credit score, 700 is preferred. 700 is really where you start. It's like, okay, you're not doing this with your credit too much. At 700, and it's been like that for some time, we look at history. And I'm not going to get into it in this video in like how much of a percentage does it make up on your payment history. I can do that. Actually, yesterday I made a video on that. I'm going to put it on YouTube soon. I have like 20 pieces of content, guys. If you guys are not keeping up to date with my stuff, I can understand that. But you guys want to be in the know. One of my recent videos, this was a part of it, getting a short-term business loan, part 2. Part 1 is going to go up soon. Oh, that's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And it's going to really shake your world. You're going to wake up and say, I should never have done that. Or now you're like, oh, I gave my information to somebody and they're over-promising and under-delivering. And I'm working with a lot of my lenders right now who we're getting feedback and like they have another offer here. Don't be careful of that. And the reason behind that is it may not be even the best one, and then 2, they're not probably offering you better terms at better rates, maximum amounts, and a lot more. You got to be careful. But yes, we can work out a startup business loan with that credit profile. I can work with you if you'd like that. An annual requirement, you just have to verify income. You have to have at least $50,000 and verify it by tax return or pay stubs. Simple. If you're an employee, guess what you have? Yeah, you have these things. You have W-2 wages. Are you the employer? Well, what do we look at? Tax return. Do we need the other forms? Do you have you're working underneath an employer? That can help. That's why I have to ask those questions. But I have a process, and people who are getting like hundreds upon thousands, it can max out at about 500K. But we have to look at your debt to income ratio. It's credit based. So don't take out any other loans right now. Don't start applying to too many places. If you want the best, like I say, and it's not just a plot, and this is real, you're going to notice when you work with me, it's not just the guy you saw on TikTok. You're going to be like, this is actually a broker. You should even think about what I do outside of this and how much I get done. I wouldn't be here if I didn't get done what I needed to in the morning. But so, yeah, in the amount of time, I mean, it could be 1 to 5 years, 6 to 18% cost of capital. Pretty cool. But origination fees are a little bit higher with these because the lender has to fulfill on everything. Is there a note? Is there a letter? Is there something we have to look at more deeper with the documents that the underwriter has to fulfill on? And it's going to take a little bit more work. And then, but the cost towards what you get in terms of funds should outweigh that anyways. And then the term. So it all ends up just dissipating on that 15% or so origination fee. That's just common, what you see. So you just have to find a way of getting that and understanding that the benefit exceeds your repayment. And there's more to it I can communicate. And oftentimes, like 9 out of 10 people will just go, when I explain it to them in their situation, I go, yeah, makes sense. I can take this funding. It's not gonna hurt me. Kadir, saludos. De nada, gracias también por estar aquí. ¿Cómo puedes? Y yo digo que a veces mis palabras también se ponen en inglés. ¿Y si hablas inglés también? Mis palabras a veces hacen eso, pero porque no lo hablo como sí lo hablo todos los días, pero no como alguien que nomás su idioma es de español. Pero lo que yo digo es en el bio, si le puchas al link, hay un botón. El de arriba, más de todos que están abajo, en ese le puchas y ahí vas a ir a mi página. En mi página hay opciones. So, ahí en mi página puedes puchar al que dice non-startup o startup, el que para usted es más mejor, el que es para usted. Y de allí hay una forma que lo va a escribir y va a entrar en mi email. Y luego en mi email, ahí es donde lo voy a mirar y yo hago mis cosas con lo que yo hago y te voy a ayudar a explicar cómo funcionan estos servicios y cómo van las cosas y cómo el mejor para usted. Nunca es el mejor para mí, es para usted. Nunca para mí, para usted. Lo digo muchas veces porque hay también personas que no hablan eso y creen que van a agarrar una cosa que no les sirve, pero es ¿cómo se dice? Tienen cosas que no han, nomás creen las cosas, no son cosas que son de verdad, nomás creen porque hay personas que les dicen unas cosas que si aplicas a esta application o algo así, te van a mirar como más mejor o algo así. Nah, si no es un buen provecho. 5 trade lines for personal or business credit? Personal. Well, it's a personal loan. Startup loans are like personal loans. So it's understandable if you don't have that. If you had business credit established, I'd be like clapping, like, dang. So you're already having business credit and you haven't even generated revenue and all that, which is not such a common thing. But yeah, it's more so on that side. I like the username. Hi, can I get help with the custom homes? Good question. I believe yourself and everybody else, a lot of you, have come in here from watching some of my TikTok videos. Appreciate you, sincerely. And I spoke about how you can get 0% for 6 to 18 months to build a new custom-made home, luxury home. I'm working a lot of home building deals right now, construction projects, whatever it is. And so what I recommend is going to the bio, clicking the link, and filling out that questionnaire form on my site where I can get you a very personalized and customized email response on your best funding option and options thoroughly broken down. And this bad request here on my site should be fixed. Yes, it is. But if you fill out that questionnaire form, then I can pair you up with the best lender. That's what the purpose somewhat of this video was, that be careful. Oh, there's another thing. I gotta update my WordPress plugin. That's another problem with this business, with business owners trying to go on their own, trying to seek financing. They don't go to the right lender. You might go to B lender when you instead needed A lender. Let me clear my cookies again. For some reason, my site's been giving me issues. So if you guys go to my site right now and there's a bad request, it's because of the cookies. So let me come back here. And I'll come back to the comments in a moment. What you have to be careful about too, this is a pro tip, when you're using a website, try to use the same tab if you're on Google Chrome, because it crashes fast. If you're already having problems, Try to stick to one tab open at a time. There's my bad request, so I got to speak to my hosting provider. I used to do this all the time. Sometimes it just crashes though. So if you get a bad request, it's because of my plugin. And I know what it is too. Here, let me come back up here. I'm going to my home page, bad request there too. And then I'm going to make a change right now to go into Explorer. 1 second. Done. Let me go to Explorer now. Test the issue. There's that next quick chat. Like when I tell you guys that I get bombarded and I get like a lot, I'm going to be there for you. Trust me on that. But here I got to work this site out just to make sure you guys can access the page. And I'll come back to the comments. So let me update the plugin here. See, it gives you two different things. With Explorer it works, with Google Chrome it doesn't. I have the latest too. This could just be I'll know right now in a second. Okay, so it isn't that. Now what I can do is access it from my Explorer site here. Now let me come back here in a second. Hey, Arkbard. Which form do you submit about the house? Okay, so 2 things. You're going to see 2 buttons. I don't know why it keeps doing this. There might be an issue with my site at the moment. I don't know why it's down. Let me update this. But when you go to it might just be on my end. Something is probably happening. I got my hosting provider on it. So what you want to do is click my link or go to my site, viralfundingsolutions.com. And then at the top navigation, you literally can get started there. But you'll see a real estate financing form, and you'll probably see another form here that I put. I don't need that. You'll see real estate capital. And then you could put apply now. So it's not an actual application, it's my questionnaire. So at the top of my site that I'm in right now, you could go to viralfundingsolutions.com. Navigation, there's real estate capital, and then there's a apply now. So the real estate capital, if you're looking for a traditional real estate investment, like a property you have lined up, anything you want to refinance, I can take care of that for you. There's also the business capital. You can click on the apply now or scroll down here. Even the get started is a quiz questionnaire, but past that, how it works, the third button, the button there where it says get started that I clicked on, then that's where you want to select your options. And then that's where you'll get started. So if you're looking for like expansion, working capital related, you have a new home you need to build, and you probably need some kind of cabinet shop, or you have a CNC machine where you need somebody to operate it, or it's a lot. Equipment related, I can help you with that, but it's in there. First one, again, for business financing, working capital related. Second one, if it's like traditional real estate financing. If it's like you have a property in line, it's not like you're a home builder, it's more of a real estate, and it's a different investment. También usted, gracias. Y a todos que hablan aquí español, gracias por su atención y su energía, el tiempo. Ya sé que a veces no lo tenemos, y hay unas personas que cuando hablan no hablan hablan nomás de chiste, hablan de tonterías, y el tiempo nomás pasa y quieren saber cosas que sí, alguien sí sabe sus cosas hasta que lo sabe. yo soy esa persona que haciendo esto por muy tiempo. Um, apologize for that. Pero como que yo sé mis cosas, como funcionan los lenders, los underwriters y las cosas de la manera de ser. Unos te dicen, no, haga esto, do this, do that. No, yo no soy así. You need my help? I think you caught a bit of that, of what I went into here with ArcBard. Are you on my site or on my link tree? There's been about a 6 month or about here. It's getting dark, isn't it? Let me turn on the light. There's been a bit of a like reduced payment structure. So if you go into your CAFS portal, you should see that now. In terms of like the deferment, everybody has a set period, like October, November, December, whatever that may look like to you, depending on other circumstances. But you would want to refer to that. You'll have more information. Like I said, everybody has a different structure. It's just the whole deferment thing. I mean, we already had a lot of it. And I get we need a lot more time. But, I mean, this is reality, guys. You're relying on the government to bail you out. And I get it. It's not for our own reasons, because of external reasons. Yeah, but, who could have predicted our business would have gone backwards because of something like COVID or another point? But this is a time now where you have to really, like, you saw what happened. If it were me, which I know this, I already know the process of like when I get into like marketing a product, when I get into fulfilling on that service. A lot of you, not saying you per se, but a lot of you guys have too many services, too many products, and you just continue churning in and out people. Like you think that's the way that's going to best be something that you should be doing. Instead, you got to look at customer retention. Can I ask you, what are you doing to fulfill on a customer longer term? Can you answer that question for me? Do you even know what I'm asking? If I asked you, I go into businesses all the time and I ask these questions if I have to. What's the long-term value of your customer? What's that return on the investment of that customer? What are they producing for you? Well, it's only a one-off sale. Okay. Are they coming back? Are they repeating coming back? So you got to ask yourself that question. Are you offering up more levels? So focusing on that one service, that one product, and then making it more, upselling, downselling. Understanding if you're like building somebody a home, what's the next part? What's the next level after that? Trucking business, you're doing something there. What's the next part after that? I mean, maybe it's a bit differently structured, but you got to understand those on a deeper level. So bio, link click, submission form, the first button, and then that's where you'll want to begin. I'm waiting to hear back from my hosting provider. Hey, there's Melvin. That was from yesterday. Just couldn't get back to him. Rose, I gotta get back to her too. A lot of common faces that I see. And believe me, I'm like you guys. I'm trying to that's what I do. Like when I'm observing, I'm like, somebody I can trust. But I'm waiting for this page to load. Does anybody else have questions? I love the questions you guys brought to me today. I'm just looking over them again. Like in disbelief. Hey FedEx man, can you briefly talk about it? Yeah, I will. So this is, and I've said it before, so if you've heard me say this, it's not going to be any like really anything different or new to you. So the 0%, that is 0% interest, so you can get 0% APR. Probably heard of these things. In 6 to 18 months, business credit cards. That's what it ultimately is. And so at this level, up to 150,000 without collateral, you're not looking to get a secured card, maybe from a Wells Fargo or somewhere else. And you could start with one like at Chase for 12 months, up to 50, up to 100,000. Honestly, just depends on your level of personal credit because you can leverage that. You don't have to have your business set up already. You can leverage it in a different way. You don't have to have that existing. People are getting approved for business credit cards even without that. And so it definitely helps. You do want to have that though. That's what I recommend. And again, 0% interest depends on the credit card, the issuer. And what we fail to look at, we just look at the amount and we forget about the rewards, like the travel program. Oh, here's this person again. Hey, nobody listen to this individual. He's come in and out of my lives. It's kind of a laugh at this point. But he's just saying you don't know the game and then ends it with a bro. So we've questioned him before. I've actually had people in here who's tried to get an answer out of him too. It was just he never answered what we were trying to question him about. You are welcome. So yeah, 0% interest for 6 to 18 months up to 250K. Excuse me. It's that whole corporate credit level. So you gotta like walk or crawl before you can walk. And some people just automatically will jump into that because they've been in business for so long that it's like, it makes sense. So think about those things. Add multiple business credit cards. It'll change your life. You can liquidate the cash out of that credit. And so once you have that cash, you can put it in your bank for cash flow. You can use it for, sorry, my charger is on. You can use it for investments. Feel free to use it how you choose. Real estate property, as capital, the whole gist of it. And there's more. Like you have to have stronger credit. It's 680 and above on all three consumer credit bureaus. Minimal inquiries. Hold on one second. So yeah, it's my computer. I checked with my hosting provider and they're not having an issue with this but me. I'll come back to it later. It times in and out for some reason. I have a really good hosting too. Do your thing. Does anybody else have questions? I updated 2 plugins. Bad request again. I really want to get into those forums, but it's not letting me. Let me clear the cache from my hosting and one second. I think a question came up. 1 second. Oh well, we'll just leave it at that. Well, I'm getting a bad request from. Why am I getting bad requests from both ends then? This doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be happening that way. There we go. Sí te oigo. ¿Cómo puedes aplicar para para un préstamo de... Ok. Eso, como dije antes, que en mi página, si van a viralfundingsolutions.com, ahí tengo mi website y por allí hay una forma. Si le puches a donde dice Apply Now, arriba, ahí puedes ir a una página que te va a enseñar el botón para puchar, el que te aplica para usted. Y de ahí te va a enseñar mi página de la forma que dije. Y de allí sus detalles, por favor ponlo todo que se mira bien. Y luego de allí se va a poner en mi email. Y de mi email le voy a mandar una respuesta. ¿Cómo se dice? Respuesta, right? A veces, como dije mis palabras. Pero ahí luego le voy a poner una response. Y luego le voy a decir cómo de ahí. Pero si habla inglés, porque si habla inglés va a ser más mejor porque también le puedo decir cómo se va a mirar en ese email. En el email lo pongo yo todo como en inglés. Pero si está bien, si no, lo puedo hacer en otra forma. ¿Sí? Ok. Si lo puedo poner en inglés, ¿está bien? Porque tengo muchos clients que también nomás hablan español, quiero checar. Pero también yo le quiero decir si tiene nomás el ITIN, porque el Social Security, el EIN, esos son importantes cuando vas a ir a una aplicación. Hay unas personas que hacen buen por mes, pero como que no tienen la ciudad de estar aquí en los Estados Unidos o en otras partes, porque si no tienen eso, es una cosa que si se van, se van para atrás, algo pasa, no sabemos si cómo va a ganar el dinero para atrás del lender, o si puede o no. Pero esa es una cosa que en mi forma sí puede poner, o si quiere, pero también ahí es mi forma donde le puede puchar. Y en mi bio también, si se van de aquí y van a mi profile, que van al que es mío, porque hay personas que no son yo, se hacen como yo, pero no soy. Y de ahí tengo una link. Si puchas el link, ahí te va a llevar a mis botones. El primero, ahí es donde. Y ahí también me puede decir que va a usar el dinero. Porque si me dice que va a usar el dinero eso me ayuda. Porque yo sé también como que, ok, lo quiere para esto, lo quiere para eso. Le voy a enseñar le voy a enseñar esta. Este está más mejor. Y le voy a decir que no, este no. Porque ese no va a ayudar. Y también les digo como que cuando estamos yendo por la application, no pongan otras aplicaciones. No lo digo para mi interest, lo hago porque no te ayuda, porque hay personas que te van a agarrar y hay personas que no tienen el mejor interest de ti y te dicen una cosa, hacen otra cosa. Ahorita estamos dando un verification por un business owner que el prepay, like, quieren un prepay that está mejor con otra persona que nosotros, and we're like, that's not true. Like, that's just, what is that? That doesn't look right. So we're investigating something because they want to steal you. They want to steal you away from someone who works hard. I work hard at this. It's for somebody to come in and you say, hey, I want to go to them because it's something you want to save a little bit more on. I can understand, but does it even make sense overall? No, you just kind of just rip the whole relationship with what you just did there. And so when that happens, it's like that whole I'm gonna go to the next level for you. Just you kind of have to repair that because you lost my trust. You lost that, and you don't want that. And if it makes sense for you to do something else, I won't tell you no. I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm just go ahead and start there. Makes better sense. Si tenga preguntas, pero en privado. Y en mi email, si me quiere mandar un mensaje. Y también en la forma. Lo puede poner en esa forma para que me diga qué es lo que está mirando y lo que quiere. Hablé con alguien. I'll say it in English. I talked to somebody today, guys, who Like, I try not to do this. Like, I try not to get to a point. I don't like doing that. That's not my character. It does. I don't want to bring out a personality in me that I don't have. Like, please don't put me in that position. And so I had a business owner who was being called by those people from, like, they sounded like they were from, like, the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, hey man, I'm gonna help you out. No, 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 no. That's the first sign of I gotta run. And so be very careful about who you get in contact with. De nada. Gracias por usted también para decir las cosas. Does anybody else have questions? I'm going to close out of this window. I'm going to open up a new one. I may just have to update my computer again. Not like I'm using anything old. Just this kind of stuff. I think there's something else. I'll be there in a second. Another bad request. This is something to do with the hosting. If they tell me to clear my cookies, it's not that. It's the hosting at that point. I'll leave it as it is. Anybody have questions? Thank you, Sandra, for the follow, as well as everybody else in before and the likes. I do greatly appreciate that. I'm a little bit tired. This is like my third live today, guys. Like, I'm tired. I'm going to be sleeping like a baby after this. I have to go do a workout, and I'm jumping right into bed. I don't want nobody to bother me. Literally, when I mean that, I mean like doors closed. Keep the voice low. I'm going to be in my room sleeping for a little bit. One more minute. Okay, this should work now. Good. Now it works. So I'll get to work on that later. I fixed it already. All right, so it says here. Let me see. All right, done. 30 more seconds. Anybody have questions? Joshua, welcome in. There's a familiar one. Let me take off the battery. Try to run this. There we go. This will be me, like tonight. I'm literally like an old man in a young person's body. I'm not even joking, you guys. If there were somebody to tell you who's the old man of the family, it wouldn't be Grandpa, it would be me. Truly. I'm more old school. I feel like I played soccer a long time, Division 1 and so forth, but I feel like my bones are breaking apart. My back. No matter how much I work on it, it's like I don't have the proper body composition, like body structure. I wasn't given that gift. Like a lot of pronounced athletes with slim bodies or people that can keep their weights, I guess, down completely have. See, I'm not even joking with you guys too. I'm like sharing you guys about me. I guess I don't want to go any deeper, but that's the point. It's like I wasn't given Zeus, like he didn't drop me down and go, hey, we're gonna give this guy the physique. But you know what I have that most people don't have? That they overlook? Go find that person who looks good if you want, because they match your look. I don't care about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying looks don't matter. What I'm saying is take care of yourself, but you want somebody who's knowledgeable, or do you want somebody who's going to just get frustrated, be egotistical, not really listen, just have the body and really, hey, if that's your thing, it's your thing. Who am I to judge? But at the same time, know what you want. Okay, I will do one more minute because I saw that comment. It's not even a comment. It's just like a burst of laughter. But yeah, guys, like, but I guess I can use the word I outwork people. I guess that's the way to put it in a certain level. Ya sabes, ¿sí? Sabes cómo comemos mis tacos y las pupusas y ¿hasta cuándo no comemos esas cosas? Ya sabemos que no están bueno para los otros, pero ese lo roco en las pupusas, my goodness. Yeah. But you can only imagine when you're coming from a Hispanic Mexican family, like Salvadorian Mexican family. That's all I have to say, Hispanic. But if I say Salvadorian and Mexican, a lot of people think, man, that guy must be eating good when he sees his parents. I'm like, oh yeah. But I take care of my body. I try to take care of my body so much. Like, I'm going to go exercise. I'm, entrepreneurial. So I'm very, like, oh man. Speaking about moving, my watch doesn't like me right now. My rings are low. Here's a look at your day's progress. Today move 47 of 350 calories. Exercise 0 of 30 minutes. Standing for 2 of 12 hours. That says a lot. So I haven't been standing a lot. But I'm standing up on the inside. I think that's where it matters most. But like I said, it's different. I eat a lot of salads. I'm starting to get into my whole meal. Salads, I always love eating salads, Caesar salads. Try to have those at least with like every meal if I can, every other time. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. You guys don't need to learn my whole life story there. Thank you for tuning in. I have to get going. I have a few things I need to take care of. Appreciate you guys. Bio, link click, site, viralfundingsolutions.com. Learn more. Get in and out. Get the best. That's it. Talk soon. Bye.